Well, hello, everyone. My name is John Warner. I'm the president of Mass Travel Network. We're a network of over 1,600 travel advisors, professionals planning trips worldwide. And they also consider themselves full service travel agencies. So doing it all and especially in cruising. And today, my guest is Scott Newcomb from Holland America Line. And so, Scott, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Holland America?
Hey, John, thank you so much for having me. Hello to everyone watching out there. And yeah, thank you for the time today. But as John said, yeah, my name is Scott Newcomb. I'm a business development manager for Holland America. Been with them for 3.5 years now and absolutely love working with Mass. Their travel advisors are the absolute best and known them for a long time. But just so happy to be here and talk a little bit about Holland America today.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much, Scott, for being on the program today. And well, my first question, of course, Holland America has been around a while, 150 years, as a matter of fact, sailing around the world. And of course, being such an historic brand that has evolved over the years into ships that are built nowadays for, of course, modern cruising. What does it mean for today's cruise guest to sail with a venerable name in cruising such as Holland America Line?
Yeah, I think the just the heritage, the history, and the experience of Holland America really contributes to people's experience on board our ships. We've actually been around for over 150 years now as a cruise line, and with that, yeah, just comes a tremendous amount of experience. And we really are actually leaning into our Dutch heritage as well. Based out of the Netherlands here, and so now we have a Dutch day on board all of our ships. If you do sailing, where we'll feature a lot of Dutch dishes, mini pancakes, stroop waffles, Dutch dinner. Uh, we feature a mint service after the dining room now. And then we have a royal high tea experience on all of our sea days as well, in addition to our orange party, which we've been doing for a long time, but really leaning into that Dutch heritage. And then those years of experience mixed with modern elements just create a fantastic experience for our guests.
Oh, that's great. I didn't realize that you had the Dutch experience. It sounds really, really cool. And something I think I would enjoy being on there as well. So, and it does set you apart from, all the cruise lines that are out there these days. So, of course, part of the evolution of Holland America has been the attraction to families, of course, multi-generational groups, special interest groups. And I think this is one of your company's biggest success stories is the evolution into family cruising and multi-generational. And what do you think is the attraction to take a cruise vacation on Holland America that resonates with these guests?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that while we've been known for family, friendly sailing for a very long time, I think especially in the last 5, 6 years, we did a ton of updating to our ships, adding a lot of new attractions and things like the music walk, which we'll probably talk about later on. But really things that have appealed to folks of all generations. And so even from when I started sailing 3.5 years ago, with Holland as a new employee to today. It's amazing to see how many more teenagers, kids, multi-generational families on board the ships. We've just really grown our demographics, and I think part of that is a couple things. We have kind of a nice small to medium-sized ship, so on average, just 1,800 guests on board our ship. In comparison to some of those larger ships at 5, 6,000. And then we have something for everyone, whether it's sports, pickleball, basketball, ping pong, the kids' clubs where we have video games and movies, and then so many attractions for the adults as well. It has kind of a nice relaxed feel to the cruise where it has something for everybody, but then it's also easy to get back together as a family to enjoy activities, meals, the ports, wherever it may be. And it's just really been an attraction for families throughout the world for us.
Yeah, very true. And of course over these years too, the cruise industry has become a very large industry, and so many different ships, different types of ships, different onboard experiences, and you mentioned just a moment ago about the music walk, which is unique. I mean, every ship, of course, has entertainment, all kinds of different entertainment, but the music walk is an entertainment area that with clubs and lounges, a variety of musical genres and so forth. Um, but you also have partnerships too with very iconic musicians and groups such as B.B. King and the Rolling Stones. And so you've created these venues on board the ships such as B.B. King's Blues Club and the Rolling Stones Lounge. Um, and I have to say too that the vibe in these clubs feels very intimate and pulsating, just like if you were at with these clubs ashore in Memphis or New York or whatever. Um, but how important is all of this for your cruise guests?
I think to me, it's been one of the single biggest game changers for the cruise line in recent years that there is. It's personally, it's my favorite aspect of our cruises is the live music. Um, and so just like you mentioned, these fantastic partnerships that we have. So BB King's Blues Club is on the majority of our ships. And our Pinnacle class ships, which are our three newest ones, has a big dance floor, a nice big stage, just very fun, high energy show that people absolutely love. And then so at the same time, or sometimes they're while BB King's is stopping, Rolling Stone Rock Room is starting. You just walk right over, and then now you're experiencing a fantastic rock and pop experience over at the Rolling Stone Rock Room. And then in between those, you can also go to the Billboard Onboard, which is doing pianos. And then additionally, kind of a newer thing that we're featuring is some local entertainment. So when you are in Europe, we're often going to have classical music offered in Europe. When you're in Canada and New England, we'll bring on a Canadian rock group to feature as well. So while a lot of ships just kind of have that nightclub, it's just kind of a bar on a ship night after night, Holland America features these amazing live music each night, which is just a fantastic experience.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't beat it when you have all those venues so right next to each other, so that you can just go from one to the next. So convenient. Everything is right there, and so wonderful too. Just wonderful entertainers. Um, so of course, Alaska. We have to talk about Alaska. Holland America is the biggest name in Alaska, and perhaps the cruise line that has sailed to Alaska the longest number of years. What does that mean to cruise travelers?
Yeah, because of that fantastic experience and relationship we have with the state of Alaska, we get so many great perks up there. And you're exactly right, John. We're the cruise line that started Alaska sailing, actually, I think it's 77 years ago now. And because of that, we get these wonderful benefits. So, including Glacier Bay National Park is known as the top glacier viewing experience in Alaska and really one of the top glacier viewing opportunities in the entire world. But because it's a national park, it's heavily protected, don't want to disturb the environment too much, and they only give out so many permits to the cruise lines. So Holland America by far has the most permits to go into Glacier Bay, which give your guests more opportunities to see that beautiful place. Additionally, when you're going out to all the small ports of Alaska, which a lot of them are tiny towns, we get all the best docking positions so that we get to pull up right into a place like Ketchikan and let our guests off versus many of those other cruise lines have to dock out at sea or 10 miles away and shuttle and tender their guests in. So we get to offer a lot more convenience in that way. And additionally, we have a lot of great infrastructure on the land portion of Alaska. We have the top rated resort up in Denali, just to name a few benefits that come along with all that great experience in Alaska.
Yeah, you're so right. I experienced it myself when you can go into places like Juneau and Skagway, and you're right in town. You can walk right off the ship and right into town, and so that that is um, that is a, great benefit to sailing on Holland America. Um, But of course, you're not just a cruise company going to Alaska. You're probably the largest tour company in Alaska as well. You own Holland America owns motor coaches and hotels and rail cars and restaurants, perhaps as well. I'm not sure, but how let's just call it a seamless experience, a combination of land and sea vacations provide an amazing experience for your guests.
Yeah. Yeah, I think seamless is the perfect way to describe it because whether you're getting off the ship, if you're cruising northbound, or whether you're starting on the land and cruising southbound, it really is a seamless experience because we own all the hotels that we're staying at. We own the motor coaches, the train ride, and of course the cruise lines as well. So from one thing to the next, we have everything pre-planned out. Where all you need to do is put your luggage outside your hotel room in the morning if you're on the land portion, and we'll take your luggage from there. You can just go immediately into your hotel room wherever we arrive. Maybe it's in Denali, Fairbanks, Anchorage, and we just have everything planned out for you. So literally, you don't even need to think about the trip until a couple days before. We have everything taken care of for you, and once you arrive in Alaska, it's just a wonderful, relaxing, seamless experience.
That's right. Um, not only are you big in Alaska, but you're the only cruise line that goes to the Yukon in Canada, and which is such an incredible area. And can you name for us some of the highlights of your Yukon program?
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. The Yukon, I think, is not talked about enough. I just got the chance to go to it for the very first time myself about a year ago, completely surpassed all my expectations. Specifically, Dawson City, I think, is just an absolute highlight. It really feels like a step back in time.
Yeah.
And so we now have a charter flight. So, for example, if we're going from land to sea, from Fairbanks, we have a short, maybe 1 hour charter flight right from Fairbanks to Dawson City. You land on this small little tarmac out, it feels like out in the middle of nowhere, and you're
Yeah.
immediately surrounded by beautiful mountains and trees. You go through the airport, which is like a small little office building, and just take a short motor coach ride to Dawson City. And it feels like you're back in the late 1800s or early 1900s. All these amazing old buildings, gorgeous nature around you, and tremendous gold rush history as well. So the Yukon is just a phenomenal experience. We go to all 7 continents throughout the world as Holland America, and the Yukon Territory is our #1 rated destination. So definitely something for people to check out if they're interested.
I'm not surprised. And it does seem like you are, as you said, going back in time and you're reliving the gold rush when you're there because it's such wilderness, and then there's the town of Dawson City, like in the middle of nowhere, but yet it seems like um, you can imagine how busy it was of how busy of a city it was when during the height of the gold rush. It truly is very special. Um, all right, let's talk about something else now. Let's talk about food.
Okay.
That you know, food is celebrated in travel all the time, and of course, in Alaska, you celebrate Alaskan cuisine on your ships and on the land tours as well. But I think the food experience the Holland America offers is different from other cruise lines. And so, how does the Alaska experience come to life and is memorable through a Holland America cruise?
Absolutely. Thank you, John. Yeah, the food on board our ships really is phenomenal. I can't get enough of it. And it's been a few months when I haven't been on a ship. I start craving the food on board our ships because it really is top notch. And specifically for Alaska, we do have a few new exciting features. So we just recently put in place something called the Global Fresh Fish Program, which is a little bit of a tongue twister, but the Global Fresh Fish Program offers over 80 varieties of local fish wherever you go throughout the world with us. So whether you're in Europe, Australia, or Alaska, we offer fresh caught local fish to that destination. So in Alaska, you have amazing salmon and halibut and sole phenomenal seafood there. And we have a different fish from each day featured into the Lido and on our menus. And then we also have Savor My Catch. So if you go and do fishing with us, let's say go catch a salmon out in Ketchikan, you can actually bring that fish back on board, and our chefs will prepare that salmon for you live on board the ship. So just some great ways to experience that fantastic fresh seafood and the delicious seafood of Alaska.
Yeah, that's got to be a great experience for anyone who does that. And yeah, I mean, you just can't do that just anywhere, and especially on a cruise ship too, uh, to to have that experience. So, given all the things that we've talked about with Alaska, what would you say are the three or four experiences that really stand out that make traveling to Alaska the best of Alaska, you could say, with going with Holland America?
Absolutely. I think a few things we've already touched on a little bit, which is Glacier Bay National Park. That's pretty unique. Very few cruise lines are actually allowed into Glacier Bay. So that's a wonderful experience to see some of those beautiful glaciers in the world. The second thing on top of that, well, there are a couple other cruise lines that out there that do offer Glacier Bay. One thing I think that's kind of unique with us is that we have a much more uncrowded experience. Most of those other cruise lines that do get to go into Glacier Bay, they are significantly larger than Holland America, typically have about at least twice as many guests on board. So they're all kind of crowding the railings and, trying to all see the same thing, but fighting the crowds. With Holland America, we have fewer guests. We have more wraparound rails throughout the ship so that you can just step out and experience that nature. When we go into Glacier Bay, we open up the bow of the ship, which is the very front of it. So you can get very close to the water, to the glaciers, to the nature. So that uncrowded experience. I think the rail car, that's probably not something we talked about too much yet, but it's about a 6 or 7 hour rail car with glass domes all around you from Anchorage to Denali, which is just absolutely top notch and a wonderful experience. And then I'll just touch back on the Yukon as well. Just such a unique experience that nobody else is offering right now.
Yeah, no, no, I'm glad you brought up the rail car experience too, because that's also a very special part of getting, attached. I guess Holland America rail cars are attached to the Alaska Railroad, and so yeah, getting through that wilderness area, which you can't easily do any other way except by train. It also is very special, and that's something I didn't think about too when you mentioned this smaller number of passengers too to get a good viewing position, of the glacier when you're in Glacier Bay. That's also something very unique to Holland America. But of course, early in the conversation, we were talking about the fact that you do sail the world. So you sail to destinations around the world, and I've always known Holland America to have these grand voyages and the world cruises, of course, but um, which obviously are unbelievable journeys, but Holland America also offers some shorter segments of these cruises. I think that you could call it that.
Mhm.
And I think you call them legendary voyages. So I know they're shorter. When I say shorter, 25 to 59 day sailings. So, of course, not everyone has the time to travel that many days, but actually many people do, and the cruises are quite popular. So, tell us about these special itineraries.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. These just came out really about 2 years ago that we kind of started focusing on this new product line called Legendary Voyages. And they are kind of that, medium to longer length of 25 to 59 days. So you need a little bit of time, but also not quite as much as a grand voyage, which are 100 plus days throughout the world. And a great part of the legendary voyages too, whether they're a segment of a grand voyage or if they're a unique itinerary, is that we also design them to be either round trip North America or start or end in North America, so that we really want to bring global traveling to your guest doorstep and cutting out that uncomfortable international flight experience. So a few of the examples are, I love one that's from starts in Boston, goes all through the Northeast, into Nova Scotia, up into actually Greenland and Iceland before returning to Boston. So that one's about 25 days. Fantastic experience. I love our South Pacific Island legendary voyages. Those are range from about 25 to 35 days. San Diego, just hitting all sorts of beautiful small islands in the South Pacific and Hawaii before returning to San Diego. We also do one-way South Pacific crossings from San Diego through the South Pacific down to Australia. Again, cut out that international flight and get to experience Australia. And then finally, I'll mention Miami down into the Amazon River before returning to Miami. So just really fantastic ways to experience the world.
Yeah, I didn't think about that until you just brought it up. The fact that you don't have the long international flights, yet you're on an international cruise and sailing to amazing places around the world, and yet like you said, you just have to get yourself to and from Boston or maybe Miami or wherever the cities that you mentioned, and I think that is something really unique to point out for a lot of people. Um, and so, yeah, it's saving a lot of time on air travel, certainly, making it very convenient. So, there's so much to talk about with Holland America. You have cruises to Hawaii, you mentioned that, going through the Panama Canal, so many amazing places. So, here's my last question. With so many destinations and ships, what keeps the Holland America cruise passenger coming back and again and again to experience Holland America no matter where they want to go?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think two things that the two things, and we have touched on these that are bringing a lot of new guests, which is a fantastic thing, but then they're coming back time and time again is one, that uncrowded experience because cruise ships are getting bigger and bigger, 5, 6,000 guests and more. But there's a lot of people who maybe don't like those crowds and the lines and all the things that come with that. And so having just an average of 1,800 guests on board our ship, people are really liking that uncrowded experience as an alternative to the way that the majority of cruise lines are going. Additionally, the music walk is just a fantastic entertainment experience that people can't find anywhere else. They're coming back for that. But then in addition to those kind of nice, newer, modern experiences that we have on board our ship, we still have our classic ship design, fantastic service, all that amazing traditional style cruising that comes with our heritage that they get to experience on board Holland America with some of those modern and more unique updates and touches like the music walk that keep guests coming back time and time again.
Yeah, yeah, very true, very true. Well, is there anything else that you would like to bring up, like to mention?
I think that covers the majority of it, but just want to say a huge thank you to you, John, and Mast. Truly, I've known the Mast advisors for a long time, even before my Holland days, and they are just phenomenal travel professionals. It's so important to use a travel professional these days. They can get you the best deals when things do go wrong on a flight, or whoever would have thought about COVID back a few years back. But when things went wrong, if you booked on your own, you had no one to turn to versus you have a travel advisor who can take care of all those things for you. So definitely call up your Mast advisor and they can help you book your next experience.
Well, yes, that's a great recommendation, Scott. Really appreciate it. And um, it's been a pleasure having you on the program today. We appreciate everything that Holland America does. And again, the guest experience with Holland America is amazing. And we just thank you very much for being on the program today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. Appreciate the time today.
Take care.